Okay, welcome. Password for today on Nodejs is year of the Magna Carta. Magna Carta? Who's heard of the Magna Carta? It's under your British history or English history? I don't know. Okay. So, where are we? People were signing up for classes next semester and looking for which classes to take. So 650 Trends in Computer Science with Arash. I asked him what's he planning on doing. Did anybody else talk to him about it? Nobody? All right, so he's planning on doing, he wasn't exactly sure, but it seemed like he would go with whatever you guys kind of want would be the idea. So he's, big data or like, what else? He mentioned a few things like that. Big data, optimization. He mentioned some things that sounded, interesting. Interesting current stuff. Seems like he'd go with what you all want. So if you're interested in signing up for a class with him, it's probably not going to, if you're in the algorithms class with him, or the discrete math, or you know people that are, it probably won't be like that. So probably won't be a proofs kind of class, more like projects and presentations. That's my sense. So if you're not exactly sure, check with him to make sure, but it seems like you'll all be in it together. Whoever's in the class, you'll be in it together, learning new things that he doesn't know about either. So it'll sort of split up the work between himself and everybody, and you sort of take turns presenting new topics, new programs, whatever. If you want the easiest class possible, maybe not Arash's 650, but it won't be the hardest either. So the most challenging courses, if you want to avoid those, will be 620, 658, and 670. So if you want to avoid the most challenging, then, or if you just want to pick one of those or something, so that you can be in with the strongest students. But any other questions about courses? Yeah.
I'm kind of confused between 670 and 556 now, because you claim that it's tougher than 556, but X is saying the other way around.
So this is about if you want to. So let's see, courses for the spring. The next programming course. 556 or 670. Whatever EXO says, he's teaching both those classes, so ultimately he decides. But the way that the place that they are in the curriculum is 670 is supposed to be a 600 level course. It should theoretically be tougher, but however he's going to run it is the answer. If it was me, I would make it tougher, the 670. But so what he's looking at is the 556 will have undergraduate seniors in there. And our undergraduate seniors are generally stronger programmers than you guys. So that's probably what he's thinking of, is that if you're in with the undergraduate seniors, that might be a stronger group of programmers. But it depends. If it's like the top 5 people in this class, then that may be better. Any other questions on scheduling? Okay, another thing, so this homework 9, do some extra stuff. I thought of a lot of other things that would be nice for people to do, and we could maybe turn this into, you guys want to have like a project to work on in here for the last couple of weeks or something like that. We're starting to get close to that point where if you're going to have a lot of time to work on one thing, it's almost time to get started. So we in here have done HTML, CSS, PHP, JavaScript, right? So basically doing all the code ourselves. There's other frameworks, and there's installing tools. So there's a collection of stuff that web programmers use that we won't look at in this class. It would be cool if some of them, you know, some of you took a couple of those and did a nice, you know, presentation for us about it. Okay, so this is my list here. I added to the one from last time. Node.js, who's heard of that? Anyone? Maybe. You heard the name, but you don't know what it means. So that is a, so instead of Apache and PHP, you have JavaScript. So remember, let's see, PHP is running what, on the client or the server? Server. So Node has JavaScript running on the server and on the client. So then you just have one programming language to worry about. And instead of having Apache, so Apache is running for all the web pages, like for the entire server. If you go to CS, it's Apache. And then it breaks into individual user directories. But it's one big Apache running everything. The way Node is you could have a different, each person could have their own server running and you could have control over it. So that's more kind of distributed. It's just a different philosophy. All right, another one is Windows. So if you're running a server on Windows, I think they're still using IIS. Has anybody ever used that? Internet Information, whatever the S is for, system or server. So if you install Windows Server and you're serving web pages from there, it's IIS. It's like we do, where there's going to be some directory where you put your files. So this is going to be similar to Apache, PHP, but configuration is different, and probably ASP instead of PHP. So ASP is Active Server Pages. It's Microsoft's version of PHP. It's just like the names of the functions will be different and things like that, but it would be useful for people to see. Apache, PHP, MySQL, everything is already set up for you guys on the CS server. It would be a useful exercise for you to install it on your own system and run it on your own system. So if somebody's going to do that, you could show us. And they call that a Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, LAMP, or Windows, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So you can get install files to basically install everything in one shot, and then your computer will be a web server. Drupal is another one I haven't really played with, and Plone are these, I think, let's see. This is another category. Drupal, Plone, Joomla, WordPress. So those all, I think those all content management systems that are on top of whatever web server is running. I believe that's the way that works. So you would have Apache, PHP running, and then you'd install Drupal as well, and then that gives you let's see, this kind of business. Where you have, this is the default look and feel, and then people can log in and change their pages and things like that. So that's ISU is using Drupal. But so it would be useful for somebody to install a system on your own computer, play around with it, and show us kind of how it works. WebGL, Chinmay talked about a little bit, but people could play with that some more. Flash we haven't looked at all, and I've never done it, so I don't know. Okay, so for all of those, what I'm thinking is those are all basically tools for programs, and what would be nice would be you kind of do a tutorial about installing it on your own system, look at some simple examples, and then while you're doing that, you kind of keep some notes on installation. So for installation, these are the links, if people want to try it out. And then at the end, you maybe make some tutorial that people can look at. I think the best is if you do, if you have a nice documentation that people can look at, and also a screen capture video showing things. People can look at the video first, and then they go back to look at your information for, you know, looking stuff up. So that would be nice. Any of those topics would be pretty cool. So now we have to decide, or I have to decide, but you guys can give some input. And then we still had up here Visual Studio, Dreamweaver, and Eclipse from last time. I was originally giving these as if you want to do something extra, I can give you some homework points for it. We could just take that list of topics and call that your project, and you pick one. And if you have to do it for a project for the class, then you have to do it, and that gives you motivation to do it. Or I could pick some very specific thing that everybody does exactly the same. All right, take a pause and discuss and see what you want to do there. Ready, go. So you do your test case on those and then change the.
So we need to write down.
That's probably the easiest way to do it.
And
You can, I mean, the other way you can do it is have media, CSS, right? So with the media thing, you can do based on the width, you can do based on the height.
yeah,
That would be CSS.
like
That would be the screen.
the media will not be affected because it might convert it from the pixels and
We could do some kind of like a couple different choices or something. That'd be the only way to do it. So you could have like if it's bigger than 1,000, you would have the screen. 500 to 1,000.
One more question is like
There's maybe different frames. I'm not sure.
frames.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure how to. There's also, you can have a button here. You have a button that's like the same as that. And then you capture.
I found something like this one.
Yeah. Okay, so what's better for a last big project for the class? Is it better to do something like this, where everybody does some different topic and we all kind of learn, or is it better for everybody to do the same thing? You guys are so boring. Okay, I'll consider it. For now, this is optional, and if you want to do it, it's extra points for the homework. But by next week, it may become not optional. All right, if you have any thoughts there, then you can let me know offline. Maybe. Okay. All right, so then we were in the middle of JavaScript, and you want to take a look at that because it's relevant to what you're supposed to do this week. Adding demo, so this was my program. I think when we left it, there was some bug, but I think I fixed the bug. So this is mine, and I put in some colors. So that's a fully operational battle station now. Let's take a look at the code. Just as a review, because you're supposed to be doing something similar. Okay, so what I had was the layout when they start the page. So I have the layout already here as just a starting point. I have each of these numbers. Let's do. So each of my numbers here I have different tags. That way I can change the colors of each one. They're all inside of table elements. So here I have my rows. Then my leftmost column is going to be for the plus and for if there's a last carry. That'll go down there. All right. CSS, as always, in a separate file. And then my JavaScript, which gets linked from the top, so that's the way you should have it as well. All right, so then the thing that you want to start with in terms of if you're going to set some stuff up at the beginning of the page, you set that up with the onload, window.onload. So that'll run once the page is loaded, everything's already created. I'll set my onClick function for the start and the next. And then in my start, what I want to do is get things all set up, so I'll transfer the problem over here and like initialize a loop counter to be 0 or something like that. And then my next is basically going to be like one iteration in the loop. So one iteration in the loop each time, so instead of having a loop, I just keep track of that in my function. So this is my, let's see, my start numbers. There was all this code. Things that you'll use is this getting access to an element on the page. If you give it an ID, this is a way to do it. Document.get by ID, the name of it, and then depending on what kind of thing it is, you have dot stuff after that. Okay, so for this, if we look at an input, so an input has a type, an ID, a value. Those are the attributes, and any of the attributes you'll have available to you with this dot business. Okay, so we get the value of those buttons, switch them around so the bigger one's on top. Padding with zeros. This is transferring things over to the table, and here I'm creating HTML. So you can see here, create element TD, that creates a tag. So when I create that, there's going to be HTML just sitting in the middle of nowhere that's like this. So that's the new TD top that's just sitting there like that. And then later on, I can put it in with this append child. So I get something that's already in the document, and then I put these things that I created in. So basically, like creating tags, you can modify the properties of the tags and then throw them into the document. All right, and then this is just initializing things. It's not, I think we looked at this last time. All right. Okay, so that just initializes things, and the way I guess mine is keeping track of the answer on the bottom. So if you go up to the start, there's different ways you could do this. Next number is going to look for this is some initialization. Next number, what is this? Right. So it's looking at the answer on the bottom to be empty, and the first one that it finds that's empty, that's the one we go for. So this is just getting the answer, the top, the bottom, the carry, and then the carry that's next to the carry. So if I'm right here and I go in next time, then this is my answer, bottom, top, carry, and then that's the next carry over that I might have to put something into. So this is setting all of those up, and the one I want to actually look at when I click the next button is this one here. So if I'm not empty on the answer, continue just goes to the next one. All right, and then do the computation and put the new stuff in. And here's where I change the colors. So for example, the A is green there. That's the one that that was the answer I just had. That's this A. And so there you can see how to change the CSS style. I have the A tag that I got from here, which is one of those cells on the bottom. All right, and then once I do one step, I just break. And if I happen to be all the way back to the beginning at column 0, if I'm at column 0 here, then I'll see whether I need to put a carry down here at the end. So there's your example. And you're supposed to do something else based on whatever you picked. Remember, first step is just make your program do it all at once, and then you want to split it up into parts. Questions, comments? Okay, another JavaScript example? Or no? There's a vote for yes. Let's do a simpler JavaScript example. Copy formDemo. So let's do one where I want to make a form, and then I want to check things with JavaScript. Show checking things with JavaScript. Okay, so let's say that we have a form for, I don't know, information about you. Let's take all this out. Probably don't need any of that. All right, let's just leave that. Okay, so we'll have a form, and let's see, what was our form example? All right, an action and a method. So let's say our action is submitted form.php and method equals get. Okay, and I want to put some things in here. We'll do it in a similar way. Field set. Name input, type equals text, name equals name. Email address. Phone number. And let's say that's enough. And then we want to have a submit button. Submit. Let's see what that looks like. And if we want these to line up, we could put them into a table or something like that. What's going to happen when I click submit? So when you click submit on a form, it goes to the action, right? So it's going to go to this page, submitted form.php, and it's going to send the values of all these fields in the address because it's on a get. There's nothing there right now, so we could put something there, but for now, that's that. All right, but so what I want to do is check the, before you send it, you want to check the values because you don't want to bother the server with values that are wrong. So if I put something here like phone number is no thanks or something, then you want to say no, that's not okay. All right, so we can put on, in our JavaScript, we want to do something about that. So this submit button here, we want to, when they click it, we want to be sending it to JavaScript first to check the values before we send it to the server. So let me give this an ID, a real creative ID name, submit. And then in here I can do my document.getElement by ID submit dot, what was it, on click. On click equals, and then I'll call some function. So check, I'll call it validate form. Okay, so then I'll have a function validate form, and I'll check the values, and if I return false, returning false cancels the form submission. So this is the key thing, that if you put a click handler for the submit button and you return false, then it shouldn't go. Let's just see. Or not. I didn't actually try this. Let's see. Here we go. So we're going to check for the email address. Email address should look like what? Phone number should look like, and name should look like. Let's say the phone number should look like digit, 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 dash, digit, 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 dash, digit, 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 digit. I don't know. And the email address should look like letters, numbers, at letters, numbers, dot, letters, numbers, something like that. Also underscores. Underscores are okay. Okay, so the easiest way to do this digit thing we could do ourselves, right? You could just loop through the string and check the digits. People agree with that? We could do something with this email address too. We could loop through and check, but it would be kind of a pain. So we're supposed to use the regular expression stuff. Let me just search for this. It's in the notes, but JavaScript regular expression. I think we looked at this once, but we didn't use it. Take one of their examples. Give me a better example. Here we go. Okay, so let's try this out. So phone number 1. So var test equals, so we get a string and we want to do dot search. So I need to get the string, document dot get element by ID. Let's give it an ID input. Okay, so then we can do dot value dot search. So dot value is a string, and then we'll search for like this. So right now, let's just test this out. Let's just search for 9, and then alert, just to test it out. Okay, so if I 123.999, I see. Okay, so let's do this. Action equals. Let's see if this works. All right, now I need to get that working. Okay, so that would be a problem. Check the errors, on click. Submit. That's what we had before, right? Let's do this. Console.log. So this is a debug out document dot get element by ID submit. See what gets output from there. What's going on here? Is this the code that I was looking at? I didn't update my link. Okay, form demo. I may as well update my CSS as well. Okay, maybe that'll help. That was my console.log. So that's my submit button. That's good to know that that's there. Now I'll see about whether this is okay. Okay, there's a -1. And that worked the way I wanted it to now, that it didn't go to, because I returned false here. So return false means the form didn't actually go in, right? It didn't change the link up at the top. Let's put a 9 in. And so that tells me the index where the 9 occurs. So what I can do is, let's try this. Okay, so these are escape characters I can put in my regular expression. So I want to do /d/d/d dash /d/d/d dash /d/d/d/d. And I want to match that. Let's see what happens if that works. Okay, -1, what if I do that matched at the beginning? So that was okay. What about if I had extra stuff? So is this going to match? Who says yes? Who says no? It's called .search. So that matched starting at character 9. If I want to make it match the whole string, I have to do something else. Test. Let's see. I have an idea that might work, but Okay, so this is all the possible things that we could use inside there that mean special things. So if I want to match the entire string, I put a $sign at the end and a caret at the beginning. That's one way to do it. That's the way I'll do it. Okay, so caret and $sign. Okay, so in between these slashes is a pattern that I'm searching for. It's 3Ds, a dash, 3Ds, 4Ds, and the caret means starting at the beginning of the string, and the $sign means ending at the end. Let's try this. Okay, so that's a 0. Now if I add a space, will it match? Hopefully not. Okay, or if I take this 3 and put a D, that's not a match either. Okay, so this would be if test is less than 0. Well, I have various things. So if it doesn't work, you can alert, or you could change something. I'll just put an alert. Incorrect phone number. All right, and then what do I want to do for the email address then? Okay, so email, I want to test letters, numbers, and underscores. Let's go over here and look and see what we have available to us. Meta characters, a word character. What is a word character? Okay, so word character is letters, numbers, and underscore. That's probably what we want. So I want to look for /W, some number of those, and parentheses in here are for grouping, so plus is for at least one. So some number of word characters. And then you could optionally have, what, a dot before your name, like Jeff.Kinney. But if you're going to do that, then you need to end in a word character, and then you're going to have an at, and then afterwards you'll have, what, a word character repeated one or more times, and then a dot, and then a word character repeated one or more times, and that repeated one or more times. I don't know. That is some regular expression. Let's see what it says about an email address. Yeah, incorrect phone number, but it said the other part was okay. So that says everything's fine. I don't know, this might be correct or not. But so what I have here is there's an at in the middle. At the beginning, there's a word character that's repeated one or more times. And then after that, there has to be some kind of letters. And then after that, this is, you could have dot, some letters, and star is 0 or more times. After the at, there have to be at least one letter. And you could have some more, well, I guess this is requiring a dot after the at. Oh, there's one other thing. So I think dot is a special character. So dot is matching any characters. If I want to actually use dot in there, I have to put slash dot for an escape. Because as it is right now, I think it's not requiring dots because, yeah. Okay, so for doing forms, basically what you want to do is use the regular expressions, but you're probably going to have to look up the rules unless you do this regularly. But here's one for email. You probably can just find one though too. So you could search for JavaScript regular expression for email. And probably there's something there that would work. You could test it out. All right, so if any of those is bad, then we want to return false. So var form OK equals true. And then in here I'll say form OK equals false. Form OK equals false. And I won't check the name, we'll just leave. I guess the name should be something. So let's say the name should at least have some letter. Is one of these for letters? No, I'll do it like A to Z, A to Z. So that means that it has to have a letter, and I didn't put the dollar signs and the carets, so that just means there has to be at least one letter in the name. Probably I should test these in the order that they appear. All right, what if I wanted to make this turn red? What would you do? You have to have a name for it. Then you can do your document dot whatever. So I could call this, well, so I either have to have a name for it or I can do something else. So here if I do, let me just put this in a span. Okay, so I could either call this a name, so ID equals name text or something. Okay, so if I give that, then I could do document.get element by ID name text, and then I could change the color that way. Right, that's one way I could do it. Or if I don't give it a name and I just put it inside of a span, then well, let's just leave it like this, so it'll be even less complicated than that. Okay, so I can get this form, this input here, right? So what happens if I make this paragraph here? So if I do that, then this name should appear red. But the stuff in here is not red because it has a separate style. Okay, so what I could do is this. Okay, so the name is that actual form, and I can do get parent, whatever the JavaScript parent. dot style dot color equals red. Okay, so if I have a document element like this, I can get its parent, I can get its children, whatever, and then once you get those, you can do stuff with the style, with the value, with whatever. This might work. Okay, so that turned red. And I could do the same kind of thing for the other ones. And take away those annoying alerts. And what? If the values are okay, then I should leave it not red. Email. All right. And you probably would want to tell them something more than just calling those red, but that gives you the idea. I guess we could say if not form okay, something. I'll put a span here, ID equals message. It initially has nothing in it. Document.get element by I don't know, something like that. That doesn't look so great, huh? Whatever. Okay, that could be fixed. All right, take a pause, see if you want to say anything about validating forms. Ready, set, go. Say something to somebody. Okay, questions, comments? Yeah.
What happens if JavaScript is disabled on your website?
What happens if JavaScript is disabled?
How would you allocate it?
Okay, so what happens if JavaScript is disabled? This doesn't run, right?
Is there a way to still validate?
So if JavaScript's disabled, you have choices. One is you just let them submit the form, right, and check it on the server. You should probably check it on the server anyway. Another one is if you really don't want to deal with them not having JavaScript disabled, then you can just test for it. So I don't remember what this looks like, but let's see. JavaScript disabled HTML check or something. There we go. No script. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe there's a better. You probably have to do multiple things. But, so one thing we could do is do something like this. I don't know, something like this. So this is one, but apparently it doesn't work for all. It might not work for all browsers or something. But so if JavaScript's disabled, then we should this should do a refresh. So if JavaScript's enabled, it shouldn't do anything. But then let's see if we can disable JavaScript. Where is that even? Let's see. Where is it even? Options, under the hood, privacy, content settings. Okay. Images, JavaScript do not allow any site. Okay, sounds good. Let's try this out now. There we go. Okay, so that did a refresh. And we could do something more intelligent, like so one thing we could do is we could have a no script here. Your browser has JavaScript disabled. Turn it on, bud. So instead of doing it up here, and then we would only want this to show up if they do have JavaScript enabled, which we could do in some variety of ways. One quick and dirty way would be to say, well, let's leave that there and say this. Is there a multi-line? I don't think so. Let's do this the right way. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, let's just leave it like that for now. Close enough. Okay. One of those. So you could have it so that the JavaScript writes out this. We just have to put in a bunch of document.writes, and then if JavaScript's turned off, the form won't show up either. Yeah. Anything else? So right now, wait, so we want to go to. Right, let's turn this back on. There we go. Okay, so then this would go to what? So this would go to some PHP form, and then the PHP form would do whatever's supposed to be done with this. You guys want a homework assignment, right? You want an easier one, right? Something that you can do that you can feel good about. That's what you want. So what is this? Did I ever make this? What is this? Convert units, that's done. Demo of an algorithm, at least 2 people, that was that. Full working program. Okay, so that's already, let's call something homework 8. So this is, work on it, eventually it'll have to be graded or something. So what you want to do is a form to take the following input. Okay, so that's, and JavaScript to check all the form elements are reasonable. Okay, so what do you want your form to take? I don't care. Email, all right, email, phone, name, right, we already, you can just copy and paste those, that's no problem. But copying and pasting is the first step. Not everybody can do that. Like your history majors, right? If I give them an assignment involving copying and pasting, they may not be able. Okay, other stuff. Right, so street address, state, city, state, zip code, favorite, here you go, favorite integer. You can check to make sure it's integer. Favorite color, red, green, blue only, let's say, just so you can check that. Favorite programming language, I don't know. Favorite programming language. And I don't know. Use some list of programming languages. Oh, how about this? Why don't you make this a list box? And why don't you make the favorite color a list box as well? Or whatever you call it, a combo box. And add anything else for practice. All right, so there will be something like that, and the grading, I'll put in random things and make sure it checks them. And let's say this, put in default values, or let's say, let's make a let's see, 3 buttons. 3 buttons, one is submit. Reset will clear all fields, and default puts in default values for all fields that will pass. Okay, so that'll make it easy for me to do testing. I can click the default button, and then I can mess up one of the fields to check it. And you can do, yeah, so this default and reset will have to be JavaScript. So you'll have on-click buttons for those, and those will just get the elements and put in the values. Right, so your reset button will be something like document.get element by ID name.value equals empty. Right, and then for your default button, you'll put something in there, maybe your information. And you'll do that for all of them. For the list boxes, or for the ones that are the boxes, you'll have to do something slightly different, right? Because you don't just put, well, I don't know. Your code, you may not be able to just set the value. You may have to call some other function. Questions, comments? This is the type of thing that you'd be more likely to have to do, right? Checking forms. All right, so then what you want to do is the stuff that you're supposed to do. And where are we heading? This is still, so I was thinking maybe you have enough things to work on, maybe you want a day where we don't have class. Does anybody want to vote for that?
Yes.
Okay, so then I don't have to prepare anything new or worry about what we're going to do in class, and then you can just take the time to work. We'll say that yes. Yes, workday. So I'll speak in the first person. I'll be in my office. Good enough? So if you have questions about your program or something, you can stop by, or if you want, I can stop by the lab. If some of you are working down there, you can let me know. So you have to work on homework 7, homework 8, and think about project. That's the homework 9 ideas. Why did I call it homework 9? Did I call it homework 9? Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Questions, comments? So the thing that we're still in the middle of, that like something that you want to know how to do that we haven't done in class, we've done some JavaScript. There's more notes. You can look up more about JavaScript. PHP we've done. We haven't done any database stuff. That's something that you want to know. So that'll be the next thing that if we had another hour, we could do it now, but we don't. So yeah, that's the next thing. Some of it you can look up on your own, but we'll do an example next class. So that would be 11:10, the PHP database example. And then you sort of have seen all the basic stuff that you need to do web programming. And it's just more complicated examples and more functions and whatever. All right, the end. If you have questions about something,